5, 4, 3,
It's my favorite
2,
part.
1.
What's going on, everyone? It's Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our round four, final round, Sunday DFS Showdown targets for the 2021 PGA Championship. Craig, I was psyched after Friday's round. I think I'm just even more excited for Sunday now after Saturday's round. What do you think of the action today?
Well, man, honestly, like I'm getting tired. I'm sure these guys are getting tired too, like playing a really long, difficult golf course. But eh,
Oh, yeah,
like usually I dabble in PJ Tour Live or like the featured groups in the
sure.
morning, and
Yeah.
then the pre-coverage starts on Golf Channel, and then you really are ready for the full broadcast coverage. But like, there's so much golf on TV that I'm just getting tired of it. But no, I'm super jacked. I just had to start doing things while I was watching today. But
No, I hear you. Like in Canada with TSN, we got the feeds, the main feed, like the whole time.
yeah.
So usually on a regular tournament week, it's like, okay, do the chores, do the things you got to do in the morning, get those done, peek at your phone. Oh, this guy's making a little charge. And then you can kind of settle down in the afternoon, at least us in the West Coast. But it's a big day. It's a big shift every single last
Yeah,
3 days.
yeah, yeah. So luckily, I had some things I could kind of do in front of the TV. Built a weight bench, tried to do some wiring of things. But yeah, no, I mean, so I think for me, the conversation starts with the top three: Phil, Brooks, Usti. What Phil is doing is special. I don't think we can
Yeah.
really talk about that enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll talk about it a lot on our podcast, our recap podcast. Make sure to download our podcast. That comes out every Monday. We recap the entire tournament. Phil's going to be a big story about that. He's a big story for this. He's over 50. He could be the oldest major winner ever. He's just like he's doing things that you shouldn't be able to do, and
Hmm.
it's remarkable if he's able to hold. Everyone, and rightfully so, I am too, is waiting for that blow up. And we had a little bit, like he was at 10, but a lot of people, like, you limp in this golf course. It's hard to
Yeah, it's
accelerate
just
into the
crazy that
clubhouse.
he had such a big spread.
Yeah.
Um,
10 and 5.
but still, for him to go out there at 500 to start the day and be in at 700, that's a good. If he hadn't have gotten to 10, then it's a good round to be 200. I think out there today.
Yeah.
Um, to
Everyone
me, it
joining us, what's
feels.
going on? Thank you for joining us live. I always appreciate it. Yeah, it's a great day of
It,
golf.
it feels the closest thing I can think. I mean, obviously there's Tiger at the Masters, but it wasn't like he was like that. Kind of came out of nowhere or not out of nowhere, but it developed on Sunday. The closest thing to me it feels like is Tom Watson, and
I was just gonna
I
say
know he was older. Tom Watson at the British Open.
2000,
I forget the year it was.
2009. Um,
2009.
yeah, so it was a while ago, but yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about as well.
And I did not think that I sort of thought we would see Phil flash in a major again, but I did not think we would see him as like, at one point on the in the third round with a 5 shot lead. I did not think he had that kind of game in him. And you know what has been most impressive? I mean, you can talk about his off the tee stuff, and I think that has been very impressive, but it seems like he is just dialed in with his yardages hitting into greens and
Yep.
with all of the different wins. Like he seems to be doing a very good job of taking into account the hurt wins, the help wins, all these things, and still nailing his yardages.
It's fun to see, like, if you've been a golf fan for the past couple of decades, it's just a nice throwback. It's kind of, I mean, it's that feeling that we got from Tiger a couple years ago or in the past couple years, but it feels a whole different crowd. Like, it's for so long it was Tiger versus Phil. Like, you got to pick a side. You're on one side or the other almost. So it feels completely different in its own time, in its own way, its own uniqueness. The interesting thing here, if we're just talking about final round, Data Golf, who we always respect their statistics, gives Brooks a higher win probability at 600 compared to Phil at 700.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's fairly legit. I think that's probably how everyone feels. I mean, that's how the sports books feels. That that's a fairly universal opinion. I think sort of to me, there's the three guys up top. Obviously, Streelman. Okay, let's play the how far back is too far back game.
One back is too far back.
What?
Oh,
One
sorry.
under?
One
Okay.
unders. One
I was
unders
like,
don't
so
have a chance.
You think Phil's just running away with it? Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the three up top that I think are the real threats. They kind of control their destinies, if you want to put it that way. So you're saying the guys at two.
Yeah, I think at two. I mean, we saw one's not the hardest hole. You can get a birdie there. We've seen birdies there. Two, you got that par five. You can get a birdie there. So you're at 4 under with groups behind you, and a lot of uncertainty ahead. I think if you can do that, those guys are live. But yeah, I think it's the top four or top six that have a realistic chance.
I would go as
What?
far as the guys at two. I think if they get Bryson, Neiman, and Woodland. I think in part because I think those guys are all quality players who, if
Yes,
they go
totally.
out there and do something special and I mean this course can be tough to par in. So you could go out there and do something special. I mean we saw Hideki go out there and have an 8 strokes over the field he was playing with at the same time. So it's out there to be had if you're just dialed in. Um,
So, but sorry, I do want to touch on that for a second because today was the easiest day we've seen, quote unquote, easiest day. There was 2 rounds of 4 under, Spieth and Horschel, and there was only 4 rounds of 3 under, Fowler, Webb, Patrick Reed, and Ben Cook. So even if these guys are going 4 under, they're still at six, and you kind of have to hope for a little bit of carnage from up top,
Mhm. Now, the one thing Brent Harris here is saying, do you think the crosswind will impact Bryson? I think that is one thing about today was it shifted from being the same wind we saw, the same wind direction we saw, where it was very much into and out of throughout the major stretch of holes, to it was across, it was coming off the sea, and then it's going to be going the other way. I think the crosswind is harder. So I don't. I think Bryson is fine. I mean, to me, I still kind of give him the same range of possibilities I would without the crosswind.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah,
he
I
is
think
going to
so.
be
I mean,
more
we'll
hurt
talk
by it
about
than
weather
other
here in a little
players.
bit, but
I don't think
sorry.
he's going to be more hurt by it than other players.
No. And then all the guys that even, I really like as backdoor top five
Hmm.
possibilities because they're, I mean, 1, 2 strokes can switch real quick and they can be right in kind of the top five classic backdoor of a major type
Okay,
conversation.
so we're going to give our predictions at the end of the
Yeah.
show. So if you're watching this later, throw your predictions in the comments below. But
Yeah.
just tell me, like, what does your heart want to happen? We'll give your head
I,
prediction at the end. Give me your heart prediction now.
I mean, my hearts are at position 1 and 3. If I was being truly honest with myself, my heart would be with Louis because the Phil story is great, and my heart might be there. I don't know how I'll be on Sunday, but I just find it so pain. Like Louis' ball in the water affected me more than
Yeah, yeah.
Phil's because he just I don't know. He just seems to shoot himself in the foot. I know Phil does that like as much as any
But then he
golfer in
goes and gets on
history,
his
but
private
still,
jet and puts his Rolex
yeah.
back on. Yeah. I agree. I just feel myself rooting for Usti. I think Phil and Brooks. So Brooks, we've just kind of glossed over, but what Brooks is doing is crazy. It just reaffirms
Yes.
that Brooks is he is under. We don't really give recognition to how good he is and how dominant he's essentially been the most dominant player in majors, and there's no one close over the last four
Since
four
Tiger.
years.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, he's
I don't know if you
hey,
could say since
since
Tiger because him and Rory are still tied, but like Rory, that's almost history. Those record books are
it kind
yeah.
of
So
is.
anyway, so my heart's with Usti. I think the guy a little bit lower. If I saw Christian Bezuidenhout make a charge, that would be one that I'd like
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's so many good stories that could kind of like the broadcast have to be ready for all these. I mean, if Bezuidenhout's making a charge, you got to go deep into his history and tell his whole story for everyone that's tuning in on Sunday. Same with Grace. Same with Streelman. Oost. Like you got to. There's a lot of
No,
stories that
let's
can
be
happen.
serious. The broadcast is going to be a Phil and Brooks featured group, but let's not
Very
get
true.
into complaining about the broadcast.
No, let's not do that today. Okay, let's take a little look forward here. Uh, Round three average was quite a bit down. You trim those guys that didn't make the cut. It's about one. Wind was down. Our picks were a stinker. They were not good. Wallace was a lot of that, but it just wasn't very good all around. Hopefully, that's just losing profits from Friday. But I was looking back at the last four PGA Championship winners: JT, Brooks, Colin. All four of them were at least T4 or better entering the final round. So I think that's kind of something interesting. But Craig, the real big thing on this page here is looking at the wind, the weather. What are you thinking for tomorrow?
I'm not overreading the weather, essentially. I mean, it does look like it's a little gusty in the morning, and then that really calms down about midday. But I'm going to be making my place. I don't know if I would be really targeting anyone out there super early anyways. Sometimes I like to target, a stud player who has just totally flown under the radar and is coming in with an early tee time and whatnot. But I think that I'm going to be looking sort of within the top 30 for the most part for who I'm playing in showdowns.
Yeah, I have to take a look now, make sure my stats are correct in the next upcoming pages here, but about top 40 in. But I always do like to find that, that guy in 50th-ish in my showdown plays. And I with the weather, if it's going to be a little bit harder, it doesn't seem worth it for tomorrow.
Yeah, well, to me, essentially, there's a glut. So we've got 22 guys are at even or better. And 10 of those guys are even, but then we've got 32 are +1 or better. So like I could see, potentially I'll play guys at 2 in showdowns, but I don't think I'm going to go a whole lot further down than that, because they essentially, if those guys go out there and have a 4 under round, they're also going to work their way up, through a significant chunk of people and end up with like a top 15. Whereas once you get further back, even if they have, 2 strokes better than the field or something, they're not working their way high enough up the leaderboard to get those finishing points.
I think that's fair, but I would say I would think Horschel and Spieth, if you grab someone like that on Sunday, that they're going to be in that optimal lineup with what they did today at 4 under round. But let's look who's going to be kind of popular. Let's look at these guys up top. So, I mean, there's a lot. Phil is probably going to be. I mean, people think Phil's going to collapse, so he might not be as a high own, but I still would put him around 50% just because he has those finishing points. A lot on Brooks too, and I might get to Brooks as well. I might get to a lot of people on this page. What do you?
So I'll probably have a piece of Phil, Brooks, and Usti in different tickets. I don't know if so the next range there, likely I'll plug in some of them, but I think that's more where I'm going to try to get different and like look for people who are, maybe at the 2s or the 1 unders or at even, that I think can charge and say a Brandon Grace who has been playing super solid, but say he goes out there and shoots even par tomorrow, someone who's at 1 under or even that's going to go out there and maybe be tied with him at the end of the day, but have gained a lot more along the way.
Yeah, that 75 to 78 range, there are a lot of guys I like. Those guys are there as well.
The pricing is crazy.
The pricing is crazy tomorrow. I would just say, if you're looking at this page, if you want to plug in 3 of these guys, I would go maybe 2 max. But if you go 3 or more, get very weird with 4, 5, 6 or with 5, 6. Get guys that are completely off the board. Nobody's going to have owned to be a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure.
Picks time?
Picks time?
Thumbs up. Subscribe. Appreciate all the support, guys. Last leg of the PGA Championship here.
We made it.
Sunday. We made it. Let's have a good one. Let's win a little bit of green. That'd be nice. Cherry on top. Okay, let's do some picks. I am going all in the 7Ks today, and I love all these picks. Play my 3 picks and then plug in whoever you want up top. I got a couple gems here. The first one is Keegan Bradley at 7,800. He's gone 69, 75, 72. Even par on the tournament at that group of T13 that I really like. 9 birdies, 7 bogeys, 1 double. He is doing it with kind of classic Keegan Bradley stats. He is 10th in approach at plus 6.32. That is, if you're new to our show, that is cumulative over the first 3 days. Pretty good off the tee, gaining 1 every day on average. And then he's 78th in the field in strokes gained putting, minus 2.97. That is a little bit of what the Keegan we know and love. But why he was one of your sleepers coming in, and this is one of the reasons, was he's positive strokes in putting in 3 consecutive tournaments coming in. His minus putting, he's only minus less than half a stroke 2 of the days and had a really bad kind of Keegan Bradley type day. So if he can have a 0 or a plus 0.5 or a plus 1, he can be kind of that slate breaker with how well he's hitting the ball right now. And he is definitely in the conversation for a backdoor top 5.
Oh, absolutely. I think to me, it's a super attractive play. we're going to get to a lot of the guys in the 7Ks, obviously, but
Mhm.
he has the outlier round potential with his ball
Yeah.
striking. There's different ways you can kind of find that outlier round potential. Like a Kevin Na, he has it sometimes where he just starts to rein in putts. But Keegan Bradley can just go out there and hit everything stiff, and he's been doing that this week. It's just he hasn't been great with the putter,
Yes.
so he's not in contention.
Yeah.
But yes, I really like the play.
Okay, tell me who you
Okay,
like.
I'm going up high here. You're not gonna like it. I'm going Jordan Spieth, 9,900. It's a spend up play. I don't think there's going to, he'll have ownership, obviously. It's Jordan Spieth. He's gone 73, 75, 68 to be even par. He's tied for 13th in that glut of guys at even. 10 birdies, 10 bogeys. You look at what he's done. He had a chip in or maybe a couple chip ins over the course of the 3 days, but he's gaining tons around the green. His putter's been poor. I feel like even going back to Thursday and Friday, there's so many putts I feel like I can think of that he should have made and didn't. The ball striking's been good but not great. Really, it essentially is he was someone I liked coming into the week, even though I haven't necessarily been on Jordan Spieth this whole, throughout the whole resurgence. But he's gained strokes in 13 of his last 15 rounds. In those 15 rounds, he's averaging over 3 strokes a round that he's gaining. So the form is
Yeah, that's
crazy.
crazy.
I do think, unfortunately, he was -4 today. He was one of the leaders along with Billy Horschel, as we mentioned. So I think ownership, besides the fact it's Jordan Spieth, whoever had a good round, that always sort of ownership skews in their direction because people are like, oh,
Yeah.
it's definitely going to happen again.
I
But I
know.
do think Bryson is also going to have a lot of ownership. Bryson is at 10,500. If you're looking at plugging in Usti or Brooks, you're not going to be able to play like Bryson and Spieth essentially will kind of be in tension. So
Yeah.
I like Spieth to from even move up a little bit more than I like Bryson from -2. I think Bryson will get a bit more ownership at -2. I think Spieth potentially you can do a little bit more with your lineups, and I just think he does have a lot of potential for outlier rounds.
I absolutely agree. And the fact, I mean, he has been birding edges all week long. It seems like his strokes and putting is horrible, and that just seems like an outlier. That should seem like he can change that. I don't know. I just kind of struggle with this one. I don't know how many lineups are going to make. Spieth might make one or two, but I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you.
I just it's just hard for
You don't
me.
ride hard for
I don't know.
Spieth, so I get it.
Yeah, it goes against my brand. I don't know what to say.
Okay, next one up.
My second pick here, I'm going Tyrrell Hatton, 7,600 on DraftKings. He's gone 71, 75, 73. He's +3, T38. So that's the group I'm kind of going. That's the furthest I'm kind of going back here with this one pick. He's gone 10 birdies, 7 bogeys, 3 doubles. Ooh. When you look at his tournament long stats, nothing really great, nothing really horrible. The putting isn't great. He is plus 2.04 on approach, but he was plus 2.64 today. So he did play a lot better today on his approach shots. And he was actually tied for second when he's in the fairway in proximity to the pin. So when he was hitting the fairway, he's hitting it really close, but he only hit 50% of his fairways. And his off the tee numbers haven't been great. He's 50th in the field. So it's kind of a risk. These guys that we see at the top of the leaderboards, you see the Bezadenhout, you see the Corey Connors, the Sung Jae Ims, they're hitting fairways and they're scoring from that. But every once in a while, these stars also hit a bunch of fairways and have outlier rounds, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for Hatton tomorrow. He did finish well. He birdied 18. He was 200 in his final 6 holes. Did include a bogey, so he has 3 birdies and a bogey coming in. I feel like that's just kind of good momentum going into the final round. So I like Hatton as kind of that guy, not really near at all the top of the leaderboard that can kind of sneak into a top 20
The
or
dark
so.
horse.
Yeah, the dark horse.
I don't think I'm getting there myself. I don't think I'm going to go. The one guy that I might consider, I think he's at +3, is Hovland, just because of his high upside potential. I don't think I'm
Totally.
going to get there on Hatton. I do, yeah, see, like, but that's where his ownership is going to be so low that if he goes out there and has a special round, you're really getting so much on everyone in the field. Yeah, I don't know.
These This pricing is crazy. Like the next 4 picks, I can't even believe we're all talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
guys in
yeah.
the
So,
seventh,
and I
eighth.
think
It's
I think that's in
outrageous.
part why I'm not going to get there is because I like so many plays there. But I do
Yeah.
agree that the talent's there. He does, he is an elite approach player, which means he can get hot and make a lot of birdies. But yeah, here's a guy I'm looking at. Tony Finau,
Yep. I like it.
7,900, 74, 72, 70, even par, tied for 13th. He had an eagle, 8 birdies, 8 bogeys, 1 double. Nice symmetry to that one.
Yeah, very symmetric.
Unfortunately, he dropped a few on the way in today because you would rather he be a little more asymmetric in the negative direction. But
Yep.
his round screen play is awesome. His putter's been meh, but his ball striking hasn't been that good. He had a poor ball striking day really on the first day, but normally, so he essentially he has almost exactly point 0.9 strokes gained with his ball striking through 3 rounds. So about point
Yeah.
0.3 per round. The last 50 rounds coming into this tournament, he's a full stroke above that. So
Yeah.
it's just the ball striking is better than that. You look at what he's done. So you had brought him up as a showdown play going into Friday, I believe, and you had mentioned how poorly he was hitting fairways. So he has hit 68% of his fairways since then, and his off the tee, his strokes gain off the tee was minus 2.29 on the first day,
Yep.
and it's been basically a full stroke on Friday and a stroke and a half today. So I think that assuming that continues, not necessarily that same rate of increase continues, but just assuming he continues to hit the ball well off the tee, I think that puts him in good places to make strokes up. And like this is the ownership is going to potentially get crazy because Finau at 7,900 when he's at even and can charge, but there's so many plays down here that this is the
Yeah.
one that I like potentially the most of all of them.
Yeah, I really like this one. I feel like I've been talking about him a lot, so I'm glad you brought him up. He's in our pick show, one of my favorite picks. I think the stat was 8 of his last 12 majors, he's been in the top 10. He seems primed to add another one to that. I think at
It's just got
T13.
classic backdoor Finau written all
It's
over it.
it is kind of classic for you now. Like he's never really been in contention at any point in the tournament, but he's going to collect a big payday, and he's going to look great on Wikipedia with that
That yellow
highlighted
highlighted box.
T8.
Yeah.
Yeah, that T8 box. It's classic Finau. Yeah, the first thing when I was scrolling kind of through the DraftKings round 4 pricing was Tony Finau under 8,000, and he's only T13. Like that seems
Mhm.
absurd. It seems absurd. So I'm plugging him in. I'm plugging him in for sure. He just gives opportunity. The other thing too, with 4 par 5s, he gives you like he could be putting for eagle. He has eagle. It's just all DraftKings points and DraftKings scoring.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the potential upside is there. The only downside is going to be ownership. I think that he will attract eyeballs at 7,900.
A pick. I like that he's the stack in the 7,000s, and then you can do whatever else outside. But Matt Fitzpatrick, 7,400 on DraftKings, 73, 71, 72. He's gone. He's even par, T13. And like Finau, he's got that symmetry. 1 eagle, 12 birdies, 12 bogeys, 1 double. He's got a couple more squares and circles on his scorecard. But I mean, he's doing it with his putter. He's doing it with his short game, +2 putting, 31st. He could be better there. +3 around the green. That's pretty good. 14th. Decent in approach. Well, I'll talk about that in a sec. And then off the tee, 45th. Would like to see him. If it's a good day for Matt Fitzpatrick, he's finding fairways, and then that's leading to scoring opportunities. If you can do that in round 4, I think he can go low. His 1 eagle, 12 birdies is some of the best in the tournament, no matter who you're looking at. Like though you don't have those many kind of under par
Mhm.
scores. But what I like about what I've seen from his scorecard or his stats throughout the tournament is he has improved his strokes gain approach each day. So minus 1.1 the first day, plus 0.8 the second day, and then just today, plus 1.57. If he can have another positive strokes gain approach day, his putter is so unbelievable most of the time. He can roll in these birdie and eagle opportunities. So I like Matt Fitzpatrick. And he is in the same group as Keegan Bradley, so like maybe they could do some kind of like scramble
I don't
approach
think that's
putting
how
thing.
it
I don't
works.
know. I don't know if that's how it works, but yeah, I'm just kind of hitching my wagon to that group, I guess,
Yeah,
tomorrow.
no, I like the Matt Fitzpatrick play. I brought him up, I want to say, on Thursday for a Friday play, but he's just been super solid all week, and I think that's going to continue. And if he gets a tiny bit hot with his putter, he can roll him in quickly and get serious momentum. So I think he is going to move up the leaderboard. So I will roster him.
And another price that just seems ridiculous, like 7,400.
Yeah. And the last price that seems ridiculous here, Patrick Cantlay, 7,500. So, yeah, this is not correct. Oh no, 73, 73, 70. Yeah, that does add up. So he's even par. He's tied for 13th. This is another very filled up scorecard. We've got 2 eagles, 7 birdies, 9 bogeys, 1 double. So I mentioned, if you did watch yesterday and you are watching today, I did mention at one point that I was like, I tried really hard to plug Patrick Cantlay in as a play
during your answer.
Yeah, and so I did not plug him in. I plugged him into a couple lineups, so I did get the payoff with the 2 under 70 today. But the reason that I did not get him in as a pick yesterday, so his putting has been bad. He's losing 2 strokes putting on the tournament. He's losing around the green. He's just absolutely lights out with his ball striking. He's 4th and 7th on approach and off the tee respectively. But this is the reason that I did not plug him in as a pick yesterday. He lost strokes putting in 8 of 12 rounds going into today. So that's a stat that, as I was starting to look at him as a pick, I'm like, oh man, that's just so bad. Yeah. So if you average that over those 12 rounds, it's not just that he's kind of slightly losing, and he's losing significant. He's losing 0.77. That's his average over the previous 12 rounds going into today. Today, he went out there and he gained over a stroke putting. So if the ball striking keeps up, which it's Patrick Cantlay, he's a world-class player. So you know, if potentially he found a little something or just has a tiny little bit of comfort level with his putter, I do think that the potential you get from him at 7,500 is crazy. Normally, he's someone we think of as being, you know, essentially the 4 tool. If we want to think about the tools as being as simple as the 4 strokes gain category, he's a 4 tool player. There's really, when he is hitting it this well with his ball striking, there's really no reason he can't score. Like should be priced higher than 7,500, but
I mean, I'm not that I'm a recreational golfer, but they say on the broadcast, for someone that's kind of coming out of the putting slump, is you just need to see balls go in, right? You can't just keep tapping them in for par or for bogey or even for birdie, right? You got to see some putts go in, and then that can kind of just like domino into your putting games turning around. So that could be what it is for Patrick Cantlay. It is interesting of these guys, 22nd or higher, so even or better. He isn't hitting a lot of fairways for the tournament. So again, his scoring could be better, I think, if he was in the short grass. So yeah, I like Cantlay. He was kind of my out there pick on Wednesday night show, and I've been kind of keeping an eye on him, and he looks like he was scrambling well today. So yeah, I like Cantlay at 7,500. It seems like a steal.
It also gives you an idea of how bad his putting was through 2 rounds, that he gained 1.35 today and is still -2 essentially on the tournament. The other thing, I went to the driving range yesterday, and you're going to be super happy next time you golf with me, because I'm getting a little bit of a Patrick Cantlay balance approach when I'm going to hit the ball. Dear. So you're going to love that one.
Gotta get the shot clock on for you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us live. Thank you if you're watching later. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. But Craig and everyone in the chat, everyone watching, is our time for our picks and prediction. So let's flip over to, do we have a leaderboard here? Okay. You want to go first? Or do you want me?
You go first. I'm trying to figure out why I'm all red here. I think it's just because the light I got coming in over my shoulder. But
so we talked about our heart picks earlier in the show. My head, I'm going to go Brooks goes 3 under tomorrow, and he wins at 9 under. He is in the final group with Phil, and I feel like he just doesn't he won't be intimidated being in that spot, being with that player at all. So I'm going Brooks with a pretty nice 9 under round.
So,
or 9 under total.
I'm going to take, I'll go with Phil. I am not very confident in it, but It's a half head, half heart play, we'll call it. He's been playing well. He is like that old one that can, pull it out of the memory every once in a while, just for a moment. And so if that happens, I would love to see it. I want someone to hold Brooks off, to be honest.
Yeah. No,
Brooks is kind of like that killer that you're just like, he's like the Principal Skinner when he's just wading through the river to go get, or no, is that Superintendent Chalmers? I can't remember. I think it's Skinner.
What?
Don't you remember that when he's like chasing him and he just walks through the river and walks out the other side? Oh, it's a classic.
Oh, I forget that.
Anyways,
one.
I'll go Phil. I'll go Phil at -9 as well.
Okay, I like it. Let us know in the comments your pick to win and winning score. Matthew Zeman is asking Carlos Ortiz. Yeah, I did look at Carlos Ortiz briefly. I think he's also in the kind of the top 5 or top 10 in birdies and eagles. The one thing that scares me, I think he's losing strokes on approach. He lost 1.4 strokes on approach today. And I think for the tournament, he's still negative. That's usually one of the most important stats for me day in, day out. But
yeah, I do remember I've only built one lineup because I like to build one before I do my picks. And I do remember looking at him and being like, I really like him at that price. He's +2, he's 6,700. The thing is, he does stick out a little bit at that price point. Down at that price point, Ian Poulter is +1 at 66. Stricker, Horschel, like there's not a ton. Horschel's 63. That's going to be pretty chalky, I think.
That would be very chalky.
But so that would be maybe my one hesitancy. Ortiz does have the skill set to be capable of outlier rounds. So
for sure.
I think it's a good play if you kind of are feeling Carlos Ortiz, then I would say roll with it. I think he plays well at long, difficult courses typically. It's just, for me, the problem coming into the week was that his form wasn't great. And so that's where I struggled with him. And I kind of haven't been on him all tournament. But I think it's pretty good at +2 at this point.
I would say outlier rounds, both positive and negative, though. He can go really low, and he can also, post a +6 day. You're like, Carlos, like, what are you doing, man? Kind of came out of nowhere. So,
but so can Rory McIlroy.
So can Rory. Yeah, I don't know if we solidified our Bryson Rory bet, but
I don't know if we ever confirmed on anything, did we?
Check the tape.
Check the tape. We'll check it out. Okay, I don't see anything else here.
No, I think that's it for the chat. I think everyone, it's Saturday night. There's a big day of golf tomorrow. Thank you for joining us again. Good luck tomorrow. Enjoy the final round of the PGA Championship. Make sure to download our podcast where we review the entire tournament. We'll release that Monday for everyone on your favorite podcast platform.
Yeah, appreciate all you guys, and we will see you at the next one.
Yeah.